Hey guys, Harry here from the Art Gear Guide. Thanks very much for joining me today. As you can see here, I've got a review of a set of pencils called, they're from a stationery store here in the UK called W.H. Smith's. I'm not too sure if W.H. Smith's is anywhere else, but it's a big brand here in the UK and Northern Ireland, and it's basically just, you know, newspapers, stationery, magazines, things like that they sell in there. They sell some art products, and it depends on what type of store you go into. Our W.H. Smith's in Durham here doesn't have that many things inside. It might have the odd Derwent set, but the W.H. Smith store in the Metro Centre, which is in Newcastle, they've got some Caran d'Ache products in there, and they've got some Daler Rowney and a few other like top brand names, but they also do their own pencils. So one time my wife was down in Durham and I'd phoned her up and I'd say to her, listen, just while you're down there, get me a set of those W.H. Smith pencils. Now, these were the first pencils that we gave our daughter Neve when she was going through school and she was doing art. And I can remember when I started getting into pencils and all the rest of it, and I can remember looking back and thinking, my God, it was terrible of me to just go out and spend. I'll have the prices for this set over in the Art Gear Guide written review, as I always do. I never mention prices here in the videos because the prices change so often and I can't do anything about it once I mention it on a video. But they're really inexpensive, and I can remember thinking to myself, my God, you know, she was going through her GCSEs and these were the pencils that we gave her for Christmas and things like that, and it was terrible. I really felt guilty. So anyway, I thought to myself, I'll get a set and I'll do a review of them now. I know a lot more about pencils. I know a lot more about the importance of paper and how that can affect the pencils and all the rest of it. And so let's take a look at it. So my wife went down there and she got this set. But when she was down there was another set that W.H. Smith's do. And so she bought both of them because she didn't know which one I wanted. And the other set comes in this box, right? Both 36 pencils. Now, the review is primarily on this set, but I thought to myself, I was really confused as to which they class as artist grade and which they, you know, think are their best and their worst, or, you know, kind of like their top grade pencils and their bottom grade pencils, because there's no kind of like distinguishing between the two sets other than the price. Now, this cardboard set is much cheaper than the tin set. But when I was going through the tin set and I was doing all my tests and all the rest of it, I thought to myself, right, I'll go through this together and we'll take a look at them side by side. And so I'll show you the results in any case. But primarily, the review is on this tin. Now, as you can see here, this is a 36 set. It says here on the side here, it says ergonomic triangular barrel, high color concentration, which we'll get into, break resistant, for dry mixing and blending, suitable for a variety of surfaces. Okay, now what I did like about this set of pencils was inside the tin they've got this kind of like this little written blurb here. It says, with these wax-based high quality pigmented pencils, the following techniques are easily achievable. Due to the waxy pigmentation, this range of colours is ideal for blending. Lay down the lightest colour first and work the other colours on top. Each time a new colour is applied, work the pencil in a different direction to the previous layer to enhance the depth. It talks about cross-hatching, feathering. Feathering is very similar to both hatching and cross-hatching, with the major difference being that the linear marks are generally shorter. This technique helps to achieve a subtle transition of colours from light to dark. I think they're talking really about the way you would do it with a marker when you're blending colours together. They talk about burnishing and they talk about gradation, and I think that's really good. Not that many sets go through these different techniques that colour pencil artists use, so I was really impressed with that. As you can see here, this is the first layer of the set. So, okay, so the pencils themselves are triangular barrel. The core is a 3.6mm core, and it's really difficult to measure the barrel size, but it's about 7.6 from the flat surface of the pyramid, if you like. each barrel is lacquered the colour that's in the core. There's nothing on these pencils in terms of pigment or anything like that. Just at the very end here, it just says WH Smiths, and there is this like little silver ring that I guess on ordinary pencils it would kind of like separate the pigment identifier at the very end here and the barrel, but they're all the same color, so I'm not 100% sure why that's there. It's just a decorative thing. But the reason why they come out with these triangular pencils is primarily because younger artists, it's easier for them to hold. It's very easy. I can remember when I was at school, you know, teachers would try to get me to hold the pencil like this, the proper way, I suppose. But I don't. I hold when I'm writing or drawing, I bunch all my fingers up, and I used to get smacked all the time by my teachers for writing like that. And they would grab my hand and grab the pencil, and they would bang my hand off the table and say, "This is how you do it, this is how you do it." But I just couldn't do it like that. Just for the younger viewers, back then, teachers were really quite brutal if you didn't do things. So anyway, that's the pencil. Not much on there. Now, just before we go on any further, I know it's not a comparison video, but I just wanted to kind of like clarify this for you. The pencils that are in this set are exactly the same colours, so it's a 36 set, and I'll have a list of the various sets that you can get from both these sets over on the written review. But it's exactly the same palette. As you can see here, the core is much much smaller. This is like a 3.2mm core, and the hexagonal barrel is about 6.9mm. All barrels on this one here I've got this grey, and then they've got the pigment identifier right at the very end. Now at the very end here it has the WH Smith's logo, as did the other pencils, but then for some reason it says here Spectrum Sings. No idea why that's on there, but it's on there on all of these pencils. But there's, like I say, there's nothing on this set here the way there was, you know, describing the blending and things like that. On the back here, it just says these artist quality colouring pencils give depth of colour and are easily blended to achieve different tonal effects. Lay down 2 colours or more. So it gives you a little bit of information on what the pencils are capable of. But I'll get into that in a second. I don't want to make this too much about the other set. But at the end of the day, I know people who live in the UK and know about the WH Smith pencils will want to know this. So that's the only reason why. I mean, my wife didn't know which set to get, so she got both. But I guess the most disappointing thing about this set is the packaging. It comes in this real flimsy cardboard box. The actual pencils have like cellophane across it, okay? So when you get them, they're not falling about or anything like that, but you can lift the lid off. And I guess the way WH Smiths look at it is most of these pencils are sold in store, so people are walking in store. You can buy them online, but I guess most people, regardless which way it is, the packaging is terrible. As opposed to the tin, which is much better. And I guess like this tin looks like a more professional and attractive range. And this set of pencils here is more expensive than the cardboard set. But anyway, so what I did was I done my swatch. And so this one here is the swatch of the tin. So the WH Smith's tin, the triangular pencils. And then this is the swatch of the WH Smith's Spectrum Sings pencils. I'll call them that for now because I've got no idea why it says Spectrum Sings. Perhaps somebody can let me know what the significance is in that. But you can see here that the colours are pretty much... I'll have these come up on screen here, and also I'll have these images over on the written review so you can click on them, enlarge them and see them side by side. But the colours are pretty much identical. And in terms of pigment strength, I personally think that yes, the tin set here is stronger than the cardboard box set, but not by much, not by a long, like not by a really significant view. And what I will say is, they say that these pencils are highly pigmented. I wouldn't say that. I would say that they are about right for their price, because when you are going to get a cheap set of pencils, even these new, these cheap sets that are floating about now and stuff like that, the cheaper the pencils, the less pigment is going to be in the pencils. It's just like watercolor paints and oil paints. The cheaper you go for those types of products, the less pigment rich these products are going to be. You get the really, really expensive artist grade paints, you're going to see the difference and richness in the pigments. Now, that's not always the case with pencils. There are pencils out there that are really well priced, really nice pigment strength. But for the most part, the cheaper the pencils are, especially when you're going down as cheap as what these pencils are, the pigment strength isn't going to be that great. So I think I think it's a little bit, I don't want to use the word deceptive, because I don't think they're trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. And I know when it comes down to advertising, you've got to try and make your products seem as attractive as possible. But I think for idiots like me, when I was going out and buying these pencils for my daughter when she was doing GCSEs and who didn't know anything about pencils, I probably thought at the time these were the best things since sliced bread. I certainly can remember thinking, that's a lot of money to spend on just coloured pencils. And then now, when I'm quite happy to save up and try and get the 150 Holbein set, which is going to cost me about £270, I'm quite okay with that. So that shows you how far things have come in my train of thought. So anyway, I've done my layer and blending test as well, and I did both pencils as well on this because I just wanted to make sure that you could see that there's very little difference between the sets, and there is a significant price difference. Although both sets are very inexpensive, there is a significant price difference. So I just wanted to show this test so that you could see that there's not that much difference between both sets. Even when it comes down to this blending test here, the colours are the same. What I will say is the triangular pencils, the ones that I'm reviewing here in the tin, they do feel a little bit drier. And they're saying here that they're a wax pencil, and that may well be the case, but my view on wax and oil. I would say that it maybe is a little bit of wax in there, but it's minimal, because the cores are not very soft. They hold a point really well, but they have this dry texture to them that I've come across now in a few pencils, and it doesn't really hinder the performance of the pencil or anything like that. And I'll show you some artwork that I've done with the pencils. And I personally was really quite surprised with the artwork that I was able to achieve with these. So let me just show you that now. So here you can see this drawing that I've done just with the triangular set, not the other set. And I think it came out okay for a really cheap set of pencils. It just goes to show you. Now, the paper that I used for this one was the Clairefontaine Paint On mixed media paper. I normally use that just for like my swatches, but the swatches came out okay on that. I did try to do something on some Bristol vellum paper, but it just wasn't coming out right, and I'm not too sure whether that had anything to do with the paper or it was just probably more to do with me. Anyway, I went on and done this drawing here, and this was done on, like I say, the Clairefontaine Paint On mixed media paper, and I think these pencils worked really well on this, and it just goes to show you that with a really inexpensive set of pencils, you can still produce something really quite nice. So long as you've got a nice paper, you're going to be able to produce something nice. Coda thinks so as well. So, he gives his opinion on a lot of things, and when he does that. So the last thing I'm going to do here is show you the colours on some black paper. Now, one thing I forgot to mention about the pencils, I think one of the most frustrating things are that there's no pigment name on the barrel or the website or the tin or anything like that. And there's no pigment numbers or anything that identifies these pencils. So you know, you've just got to eyeball the color really whenever you're doing your work. So anyway, this is the W.H. Smith's triangular pencils. Let's take a look. I'll zoom in a second once it gets some color down here. Again, I'm just doing a heavy application here. So they're quite translucent, or that blue is anyway so far. I'll do this green. Again, very, very translucent. Actually, I'll do the red next. Again, very translucent. Now this yellow. Little bit of crumbling there, but I am using quite heavy pressure here. They do say that these pencils are kind of, they've got this break resistant thing in them. And now the white pencil. That white's not too bad actually. I didn't actually have to use it in the drawing. In the interest of kind of fairness and showing you, I've got exactly the same colours from the cardboard set from the Spectrum Sing hexagonal pencils. So let's take a look at these on black paper here. So I think they look a little bit more opaque. Well, the blue did anyway. So the green there you can see pretty much identical to the green above it. So we'll do the red now. The yellow. And then finally the white. So there you have it. But I'll like I say, as always, I'll have an image. So as far as I can tell, these colors are almost identical in terms of everything, the translucency, things like that. This one here is green and this one here is yellow. But when you're using dark paper, if the pigment is like quite translucent, the light greens and yellows and stuff like that are very, very similar because that black kind of mutes the colors. When they're a little bit more opaque, as both of these blues are, the black paper doesn't affect the color that much. The reds here are also a little bit translucent, but surprisingly the whites have come out quite nice. But you can see here there is very, very little difference in terms of performance between both of those pencils. Okay guys, so that's my review here for these the W.H. Smith's coloured pencils, their own brand pencils. Don't forget, I'll have a written review of these where I'll have the prices, the sets that are available, and links where you can buy them if you want to. I'm not 100% sure if W.H. Smith's ship outside of the UK, but I'll find that out and I'll have it over on the written review in case anybody wants to get a set. I know a lot of people in America and stuff like that have heard of these pencils and have asked me about them in the past, so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this review. And as I've mentioned in the past, I just want the Art Gear Guide to have a huge catalogue of reviews of pencils for all people. Doesn't matter where you live in the world, there might be a set of pencils there that only your country does, but I hope that one day the Art Gear Guide will have a review of all of those types of pencils and be able to cater to everybody. And And so the Art Gear Guide, I hope one day would just be kind of like the go-to channel to get a decent review on whatever pencil you're looking for. It doesn't matter what pencil it is you're looking for. But that's my review here of the W.H. Smith's coloured pencils. Both these sets are quite different in prices, but both of them are very inexpensive. Very little difference in terms of performance. Obviously, these triangular pencils have got that ergonomic style for, in terms of younger artists getting used to holding pencils. I think that's what that triangular form is all about. It's to try and help you hold your pencil correctly. And I think that's a much better way, as opposed to a teacher standing over you banging your hands off a desk, because you can't hold on to the pencil the way they want you to hold on to it. So there you go. That's my review. I did enjoy them, and I was really impressed with the artwork that I did with them. I wasn't expecting the artwork to quite come out like that. So I was really quite impressed. But don't forget, a lot of that, not all of it, but a lot of that was down to the paper as well. The paper and the pencil combined, putting a pencil with the right paper will always give you decent results, and it's just a case of making sure that you get the right paper for the subject that you are doing and for the type. A lot of people say to me, well, what's the best paper with this type of pencil? Well, that's a really difficult question for me to answer, because it all depends on how you use your color pencils, in terms of, you know, whether you're heavy-handed, light-handed, you enjoy doing lots of layers, or you enjoy just putting down a flat color. All these different variables come into play as to what type of paper is best to go with a certain type of pencil for a certain type of genre of art that you're doing, for the type of way, for the way that you hold your pencil. All these different things, all these different variables come into play whenever it comes to marrying up pencils with paper. And so it's a very difficult thing to answer. It's a very personal thing, I think, very individual thing. Anyway, guys, thanks very much for watching this review. I really look forward to seeing you again in the next one. And thank you so much for all your support, all your wonderful comments. I try to get through as many of them as I can. All the best, guys. Bye.